Hey to all Metal Maniacs and welcome to another episode on Iron Horde TV. As you are used to by now, every Wednesday I grab an album from my collection and review that album, say what I like and what I don't like, if any, about that particular record. For this week I'm grabbing a recent album, that was released at the end of last year, more precisely on the 23rd of November. I have actually included this particular record in my top albums of 2020. I did a video also on my top 5 albums from 2020, which is actually the first video I ever made on this channel. You can watch the video over here. I didn't include this album in my top 5, but it was included in the shortlist for that year. And now that the LP is in my hands over here, I decided to go into a bit more detail about the good and the less good about this particular record. So sit tight and let's go ahead with the review of the album Aedris by the band Possessed Steel. Let's go. Thanks for joining us again on another video on Iron Horde channel. What we do here is review albums, suggest bands, review festivals, talk about cultural aspects of heavy metal. So if this is of interest to you, please consider subscribing, liking, clicking on the bell and sharing these videos, this and the other videos on social media and with your friends. As I said, Possessed Steel are a relatively new band formed in 2010, and before releasing this full-length album, which is their debut full-length, they have released 1 demo and 2 EPs. The album, which was released in 2020 with Temple of Mystery Records. It is interesting to note that this album, along with many others, carries on the legacy of a lot of Canadian bands in recent years which have released quality traditional heavy metal albums reminiscing of the 80s decade, but also with a fresh approach. I'm speaking about bands such as Cromlech, Gatekeeper, Traveler, Riot City, and many more. Manikill comes to mind as well. Great albums, so take note of those bands and check out their discography as well, because it is impressive how many bands from Canada. Canada has always had a big heavy metal reputation, but recently there's like an explosion of bands coming out from there with great albums and great music. Maybe there's some kind of secret potion. Maybe my friends from Canada can delve deeper in this issue as well, I don't know, but anyway, continue like that, because at least for these years you're doing a magnificent job. I need to precise though that on this album 1/4 of the power behind the music is from my own country, that is Malta. The drummer in fact is a local countryman named Richie Rizzo, who emigrated to Canada a few years back, and he was also in a few bands locally. One that comes to mind is Cremation, a band he was in with my close friend Albert Bell from Forsaken, which I did last week's album of the week from Forsaken. You can check it out as well over here. I have to say I'm always proud of people coming from Malta who have some kind of success abroad, especially in something that I'm interested in, such as heavy metal. As I said, this album impressed me from the very first listen. It depicts the story of Aedris, who comes from a special bloodline with regards to his ancestors, and he is given the power to hold, and I quote, the unfathomable power of Spellblade, which is a very powerful sword. He needs to bring justice to a land destroyed by the sullen architects, and the story depicts the tale of his journey basically. I also have a feeling kind of that the story is not over yet, and we might hear more of Aedris in future Possessed Steel records. So what about the music over here? Well, this is basically traditional heavy metal with an epic approach. Much like what we find in bands such as Twisted Tower Dire, Eternal Champion, Visigoth, Slaufeg. Those are the bands that come to mind if I had to describe the sound on this record. There are some faster parts as well in tracks such as Assault on the Twilight Keep, but in general this is a mid-tempo record in line with bands that made history in the traditional heavy metal scene. There are some nice guitar solos as well, such on the track Bogs of Akaton, which is one of the highlights on this record. They give more flavor to that epic feel, which can be heard in times throughout this record. Another highlight track for me is Frost Lich, with its catchy riff and the inclusion also of growls by singer and guitarist Talon Sullivan. These growls remind me a lot of Jeff Walker from Carcass during the Heartwork era, and generally they depict evil creatures which Aedris meets throughout his journey. That is why you will hear more of these growled vocals in some of the other tracks as well. Another track which I like to mention is the track Spellblade, which really encompasses, I think, the sound of Possessed Steel with that kind of smoothness and catchy choruses. There is also a mid-section bass part here which introduces us to a guitar solo which ends the track, and it's a very nice conclusion to a great track. There is also a short interlude in here titled Forest of the Dead, which reminded me a lot of the band Ashbury. Production-wise, there's nothing to criticize here. It's up there with the very best. Everything is clear, all the instruments sound clear, but not resulting in an overproduced record. So nothing to criticize, as I said, in this aspect over here. The cover is perfectly in line with the concept of the album, which depicts Aedris on his black unicorn passing through, which I assume is the Forest of the Dead. You can find more info on the story in the booklet inside the vinyl or the CD, and there's also a map inside there which will illustrate the areas concerning also the journey Aedris has to face and the location he has to pass through during his journey. The design also on this booklet has that feel of a kind of a scroll and all the antique writing with regards to the design aspect. I like to mention this because when I buy a vinyl, especially an LP, it is the whole package that counts. Obviously, the majority of the judgment is upon the music itself, but the whole package needs to conform with that feel, with that vibe that the music is laying. So all in all, this is a great album, a great package, definitely one of the highlights from 2020. So that is all for Album of the Week. I hope you like the information. Please check out this record. I'll be posting links in the description below where you can find the Facebook page, the Bandcamp page, and the official website of the band. I will also post affiliate links where you can buy the album as well. We get a small commission from that link with no extra expense to you, so please use those links, it will help us a lot. Before I end this video, I would like to invite you to subscribe to this channel if you like what we are doing here. Share the video, click on the bell so you are notified whenever we post a video. There's nothing for me more to add. I'll see you in our next video on Sunday. Until then, stay safe and metal on. Cheers.